Welcome back to Carnegie-Stout Public Library's Adult Services Podcast. Check it out. Today we're going to be talking about the Great Reading Challenge with Courtney. We have a couple of two Bens, who are going to be giving us reading recommendations, and then, some other content. So we'll see what happens. Just listen and enjoy.
Double Bens.
So have you guys read anything good this week?
I am in the progress of rereading Harry Potter again. I have now made it to the 6th book, so there's that at least. It's just, I don't know, it's just so relaxing. But man, Harry is angsty when he's older, I tell you. So dramatic about everything.
Is the 6th book, which one is the 6th? Which is the one where he's the secret order and he's living in Sirius Black's house? Is that the 5th one or the 6th one?
That's the 5th one, yeah. The 5th one is the Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah, in the 5th one, I was like, gosh, he's such a brat. But of course, he's a teenager, so you sort of expect that. Like, he's so whiny.
Right, and it's the one just finished. And oh my gosh, please stop. Like, that's enough of this. I can't.
Yeah. So I actually read my very first Agatha Christie book for the online book discussion, The Mysterious Affair of Styles.
I didn't realize it was your first.
Yeah, I have never read Agatha Christie before, so that's kind of a sad comment to make since she's been writing since 1920. But
to read, and then there were none. That's my favorite one.
Yeah, I'll have to. I don't know. I can't say I was enthralled with the first one, but again, it was her first one, so I should give more of them a chance.
I haven't read Agatha Christie since I was very, very young. I used to love Miss Marple, but this one, it wasn't my favorite book either, because I also read The Mysterious Affair at Styles for the online book club, but you could definitely see how that novel set the form for mystery novels to come.
Absolutely.
Like, the characters and the way the plot went through for pretty much the next 100 years. Good Lord, that book's 100 years old.
I just looked today. It came out in 1920.
Exactly 100 years.
Yeah, so talk about having something that lasts a long time. I mean, how many books can people say they even really know the name of the author that wrote 100 years ago, really?
Right. I actually took a class as an elective in college that was a Sherlock Holmes class, but we did Agatha Christie and Sherlock Holmes, and we just talked about that, how about all mystery novels, how it's the basis for many modern television shows, based setup that Arthur Conan Doyle created and that Agatha Christie helps set up, and it's kind of interesting how much that firm has stuck around.
I was really kind of surprised in this book that they mention Sherlock Holmes, because I never really thought about like those two worlds crossing. So I was like, oh, interesting. That's interesting. I know who Sherlock Holmes is. So curbside delivery starts today for the library. So you can come and pick up holds. Once you get a notification that your hold is ready for you to pick up, you'll get instructions on how you can come and pick them up. So just to let you know, if you put a hold on today, chances are it may not be ready tomorrow, because we do have a very large backlog of holds that we are trying to pull and get ready for patrons. It is no contact, so when you get to the library, after you've gotten that notification, you do need to call the phone number that is listed on the sandwich board on the Locust Side Street of the library. Tell us that you are there, and your books will be brought out to you and placed on a cart. Once the staff member leaves, you can then pick your books up off of that cart. And we appreciate your patience in this time. We're really trying to get everybody their materials.
We'd also like to remind you that Carnegie-Stout Public Library is fine-free. So if you have materials that are checked out, books, movies, whatever, you are welcome to keep them until the library building opens to the public again. We won't charge you fines or fees, and we won't block or restrict your account and prevent you from accessing online materials. Finally, we are pleased to share that there are staff in the building again who are able to answer the phone. So if you call the library at 563-589-4225, staff will be there to answer the phone from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Which sounds fancy, and also like, why isn't that a thing that's happening? Because that's old technology. Telephones.
Live people answering the phones. What a big shocker. Hi everybody. I'm here with Courtney. She is one of our most enthusiastic, I'd say, Great Reading Challenge participants and book club participants. So I thought we could have a little chat with her and just see what these two programs mean with her. Hi, Courtney.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
That's good.
Finished another book, actually.
Yeah. Just in case people don't know what we're talking about, we have a year-long Great Reading Challenge, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a challenge that takes a year, and it's not too late to start it because all you have to do is read, Courtney, you may know this off the top of your head better, is it 12 or 18 books? 18. So read 18 books over the
18,
course.
But you can go to activities.
That's true. You can go to activities, which might be a little bit hard these days, just because of what's going on with the library and in the world. But 18 books and you've completed the reading challenge, and we always have a party in January to celebrate the reading challenge. You can find all the information on our website at www.dubuque.lib.ia.us under Adult Services, and then just click on Great Reading Challenge. You'll see the reading challenge categories there, and basically all you do is decide what book fits in what category. We don't have any say in it, and at the end of the year, you just email us or tell us how many books you read, and we will take your word for it. We don't question it.
And then there's the fun with the Reading Roulette Challenge, where every month there's a new category drawn, and it counts as like 2 books read.
And that's something new that we're doing this year. So each year we try to do something new just to spice up the reading challenge. I'm going to ask you a couple questions here, mostly about books and reading and so forth. So the first one is, so why do you love the Great Reading Challenge?
It just pretty much takes everything I love already and puts it into one thing. Because I've always been the reader. Well, except way back in elementary school. Apparently I hated it until I did a summer school. But I've been a reader. I've gotten in trouble so many times for reading where I wasn't supposed to in school, high school, even college. Never-ending battle. So actually having an excuse to read is glorious.
Doesn't that seem funny that you could get in trouble for reading? I mean, they should be happy that you're reading, right?
I totally agree with that. I'm just like, come on now, guys. I'm doing something educational. It might not be necessarily your subject educational, but it's educational.
Yes. Did you have,
Even if it might have been like Harry Potter.
Oh, hey, as you know, we love Harry Potter, so there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
Before the Great Reading Challenge, I think we're going on maybe 4 or 5 years of our Great Reading Challenge. I can't remember off the top of my head. But did you participate in any other reading challenges? I know there's a lot of them that are out there online.
Not really. I've seen some of them online, but really I didn't see them until the Great Reading Challenge came about. I did a couple of like the summer reading programs with the library, but never really was involved in anything like that. I did some of the virtual book clubs that were kind of harder to participate in, like the Emma Watson one, just because Emma Watson's awesome. But it's not the same as participating in person or even via Zoom.
I think the great thing about our Great Reading Challenge, which is a year-long challenge, is that you can use those same books for summer reading. So the Great Reading Challenge, there's kind of categories that you can plunk your books into. And for summer reading, it's basically you read 5 books for each log and you're entered. So I think it's great that we kind of allow people to use the same books for both. Otherwise, that'd be a lot of logistical, like, can I use this book for this one? Or should I use this book for that one? It'd be really confusing.
Yeah, especially when you're someone like me who waits to put them into the categories until later. There's only a couple of them that I have specifically in categories at this point, or ones that I picked because I knew they were for a category. But a large chunk of these I don't even have in categories yet. I have ideas, but I don't have them on paper in categories.
Right. Have you discovered any new genres that you never thought you'd enjoy?
I am actually surprised with these cozy mysteries, or in the case of my Zoom mess up, cozy murders. Yeah. It's not something I had really read before. And I was kind of surprised at how much I did enjoy it. Just that nice lighthearted read after reading a bunch of heavy things.
Yeah, I've become really obsessed with cozy mysteries. I basically pick them based on the pun in the title. The punnier the title, the more I want to read it, whether they're good or not. I mean, they all basically kind of have the same plot.
Yeah, I'm gathering that, but it's just like a nice lighthearted read, at least, outside of the murder part.
Yeah, I mean, there's not like a lot of blood and gore. And, sometimes some of them are sophisticated enough that I don't actually know who the murderer is until the very end. I'm assuming you've read a lot of books this year, and I'm just talking like 2020, the year that's lasted for like 5 years. Have you had a favorite book that you've read just this year?
Oh, that's actually really difficult. I'm gonna call it a series at this point, just because Angie got me started with the October Day series, and
Yes.
been listening to those audiobooks. And that's what I'm waiting for a curbside pickup, is that next audiobook.
Yeah.
Because I got hooked on that narrator and the story, where at first it felt like it could be a standalone, and then as you get going, I'm just too into the character plots and the character interactions to let it go, and it bugs me not knowing what's happening. I think I'm left hanging after the 10th book right now, waiting for the library to reopen for me to get the CDs.
Shauna McGuire is really good at that. I have not done October Day, but I've read her Encrypted series. And after her latest Encrypted one, which I think is the 10th in that series, there was such a cliffhanger. And I'm like, oh, gotta wait like a year before I find out what happens. She's just
after meeting her, I want to read them all now.
Yeah, she has just got such an interesting voice and such a rich imagination. I could not even imagine being inside her head. Like, it's just, all of her series are so different, but they're all just so compelling. She's really, really a great writer. I think she's become one of my favorites.
I used her as the reading roulette for the author that had more than 20 books published or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, perfect. Yeah.
I mean, most people wish they just had like one good book in them. And she's got so many. It's just, it's incredible. And I haven't read.
She's not just living off her name at this point.
No.
I know I read one book, and it's one of those, I think it's another reading roulette one, or otherwise it's just one of the categories, where it was by an author famous for another medium. And the one I read, I'm just sitting there going, I feel like you only got published because of your name. Yeah, I'm sure there are people that would love that book that I was kind of like, I didn't like it, but to each their own.
Books are like art. It's completely subjective. Something speaks to somebody, and it doesn't speak to another person. That's the beauty. Actually, that's the beauty of the library, because check it out. You don't like it, you return it, you find something you love. And we're excited that curbside is starting again.
Thousands of dollars in the process.
Yeah, exactly that. Do you have anything else to say, Courtney? Any wrap-up comments about reading and books?
Honestly, if you're listening to this, it means you're a book nerd already. So it's
true.
It's pointless for me to say keep reading, because you're gonna, but don't be disheartened by something. Or my favorite is, if you're reading graphic novels, don't let somebody tell you that they don't count, because there's a lot of work that goes into that illustrator's designs and everything.
That is so true.
I started a blog just to keep track of everything I read, because I was posting on Facebook too much.
Yeah.
So now I actually had that right in the blog. I was like, yeah, I've had people say those don't count as books. I was like, that's more work than you can do in probably a day. So it counts. Or probably in 2 years, more work goes into that single book than you do in that time. So yeah, it counts.
It does count. And I mean, graphic novels are great. They can tell a really, really compelling story, but with pictures as well. So there is dialogue and there's pictures, but it's just, there's some great graphic novel series out there. It's just, again, it's like you find one you like, you find one you don't like. Yes, some of them have superheroes. Not all of them have superheroes. They're not all Marvel and DC. There's some others. There's just really, really great stories out there. So like Courtney said, just if you're a book nerd, keep reading. Yep. Sorry, I cut you off, Courtney. You can go ahead.
No, it's all good. I was just going to say, because even though different mediums, however you take in your books, they still count, because there's still the daily argument of ebook versus real book, audiobook versus paperback, comic versus novel. They all count. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Yep, reading is reading. That is for sure.
Good morning. Library patron Ben here, and I've just got a few reading selections that I have read in the last few years. During this time, some people might be looking for some short or easy to read books. I know I often like short stories or story collections, and so I have two selections for people. The first is An Elderly Lady is Up to No Good by Helene Turnston. The edition I have was translated by Marlene Delargy. It's a good set of small mystery stories centering around an old lady named Maud, who's mostly up to no good. She finds herself in a lot of troubling situations, and she gets out in pretty ingenious ways. Even though it's a fairly straightforward mystery stories, there are a few things that I think are left up to the reader's imagination, which are extremely interesting. The second set of short stories I have is a series of 4 books, collectively known as the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. The first book in the series is called All Systems Red. In these books, it's more of a sci-fi kind of setting where there are human-like robotic systems with advanced AI that are used to serve people. The stories focuses on one of these AI systems that has obtained its own consciousness and controls its own life. And as it mentions in the series title, it is designated as a murder bot. Very interesting, different point of view, and another easy, quick read. I want to just thank Sarah at the Dubuque Library for definitely recommending both of these books to me over the last few years. A good reading, everyone.
Hi, I'm Ben Jacobson. I'm a Dubuque-based freelance writer, journalist, and editor, not to mention a lifelong avid reader of books. For someone who is so passionate about the written word, my taste in books is a little embarrassing. I really love trashy suspense and thriller novels. Pretty much every piece of quote-unquote classic literature that I've ever read is because of a class or because I don't want to embarrass myself around more literary friends. I'm a huge fan of science fiction and horror novels. I've recently started making my way through Stephen King's bibliography, and I would encourage any aficionados of scary stuff to check out Adam Neville. He's a UK-based author, and Jason Arnott, also a UK-based author, as well as Scott Smith's The Ruins. He only wrote 2 novels, one of which was The Ruins, and it's a pretty much relentless nightmare of a book that is absolutely amazing. Like many people, recent weeks have been fairly challenging for me. There's just so much uncertainty out there for everyone. I've been jumping from book to book, trying to find some good escapism so I can turn my brain off a bit. So far, it's been the books that I know and love, not new stuff, that has been getting me through. And those are books like Harry Potter, The Rook by Daniel O'Malley, Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry, Armor by John Stakely, pretty much anything by Grady Hendrix. Lamb by Christopher Moore is a classic, if you're okay with a little blasphemy. And Jasper Ford's Thursday Next series is a brilliant option for anyone who has even a passing interest in classic literature. So those are my recommendations. Stay safe and wash your hands.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Check It Out, Carnegie-Stout Library's Adult Services Podcast. Thank you to Courtney for her interview, and thank you to our patrons Ben and Ben for their submissions, and a third Ben thank you goes out to Ben Eagle for recording and performing the music for our podcast. We hope you'll join us next week for Check It Out.